All right, Mr. Chen, do you think we can get started right now? Miss Margaret, right? Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's section of our Art College Admission Week at Color Academy. My name's Ring, and I'm honored to be your host for this evening. We're incredibly excited to have you join us as we continue our journey through some of the world's leading art and design institutions. This evening, it is our great honor to host the Ringling College of Art and Design, a name that has been synonymous with excellence in creative education. With a strong reputation of innovation and industry connection, particularly in computer animation, illustration, and entertainment design, Ringling has long been the dream school for many aspiring artists. Its alumni has gone on win Oscars, designed for Pixar and Marvel, and shaped the future of visual storytelling across the world. But beyond the impression rankings and dazzling portfolios, what truly stands out about Ringling is its holistic approach, fostering not only technical mastery, but also deep conceptual thinking, collaboration, and career readiness. So just very quick notes before we get started. Feel free to drop any of your questions in the chat section if you're an online audience. So we'll try to connect them and answer as many as we can. Also, just let you know, this is one of our several exciting sessions we're hosting this week. So feel free to stay connected with us for more insights for the other top schools. So you may just take a screenshot of our social media on the screen right now. So we'll post more information about our future events. All right, so tonight we are so fortunate to hear directly from someone who knows Ringling inside and out. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Margot Swedish, admission counselor at Ringling College of Art and Design. Margot, thank you for being with us tonight, and the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you so much for that really nice introduction, Rain. That was lovely. I feel like you've really pitched it for me, so thank you. It's really nice to meet all of you who are here in person, and great to see so many people on the Zoom as well. And for those of you who are on the Zoom, if you want to make a more personal connection in the future, I am here for all of your students. So you're welcome to reach out to me directly, and I'll go ahead and put my email in the chat now while I'm thinking of it, although I'm sure that Rain and the many lovely people here could connect you with that info in the future as well. But that's my email. And then I'm going to go ahead and share. Is everyone able to see my screen? Well, we'll probably assume yes. Okay. Great. I'm gonna play a video, but I don't know how the audio is gonna come through. So we might have to troubleshoot.
When I hear the word passion, I think of those things that drives you and motivates you. And when you're turning passion into profession, finding those things that you want to do next in life.
I think Ringling did a good job at introducing you to everything and all aspects of the major you signed up with. Having the freedom to explore it and really work with teachers who are passionate about it has really helped me find what I enjoy and then learn how to take those skills that I'm learning and apply it to jobs I want to pursue in the future.
I would say Ringling does a great job because it is a very intensive program. The more you get into it, you understand that they're trying to prepare you for the next step.
We are students as artists, and so they're being driven to learn those skills quickly so that they are job ready.
Getting to work in my field and create all these amazing projects has been absolutely amazing. We also have incredible events on campus with different people across different industries.
When I graduated, I knew immediately that I was gonna need help, and so they helped me prepare for the interviews and they helped me look at which companies were best fit for me.
Another wonderful resource that we offer is our Alumni Mentor Network. This network contains over 200 alumni that yearly engage with our students, give back to them to provide feedback.
I graduated from Ringling in 2004. I think it's important for students to see professionals that have gone through the same school. I was lucky to find what I was good at and learn from great instructors and being able to make a good living at it.
Employers know that when they hire a Ringling student, they're getting some of the best art design students that there are.
It's fantastic to see how the school has evolved. It's not just good enough to be a good designer, but to also understand business, to understand sales, creating this really well-rounded professionals.
Turning passion into profession is a great phrase because Ringling really is shattering the myth of the starving artist.
It's one thing to have a talent, but it's another thing to be able to build a career out of it. Really using all the tools that you need. So the only barrier for you as a Ringling student is just your creativity.
Okay, wonderful. So just to also give you a little bit of understanding about my role at Ringling, I am an admissions counselor. So that means that I get to work with students who are working on their applications, who are applying, have questions, all of those things. I have the privilege of reading your applications and assessing those things as well as they're coming in. So I am that person who can give you some real insight about what it looks like to apply and what we're looking for when we're looking at your applications. One of the reasons we do so much portfolio development with our students before they apply is because we give out merit scholarships that are based on the merit of your portfolios. So the most important thing to us is what you have in your portfolio. We might look at your GPA and the activities that you do outside of school, but the main thing we're going to look at is going to be actually your artwork. So that's why we do a lot of that development so that we can make sure you have all of those resources and that knowledge before you're applying so that you're able to put your best foot forward. So it's nice to meet you all. Sorry, I keep losing my mouse. Sorry, I lost my mouse, so I'm going to try that again. Okay, great.
Nice.
Okay, so these are just some pictures of our campus. You saw this a little bit in our video there, but here you see one of our main fine arts buildings. We have lots of beautiful updated buildings on campus. This building houses our, we teach classes about book art, book binding in this building. We also have classes about glass blowing. So if you've ever wanted to try glass art, that could be something that you explore in that building. One of the things you see here is that we have full Cintiq labs all over campus. And we're updating those every 2 years. So we're making sure that you have access to the top software and the top hardware that's being used in the industry right now. So after you graduate, you're going to be having used so much of the things that are actually being used in the industry. So you're not going to have to learn anything new, which is a big resource to you as someone who's looking for a job right out of college. As you can see, really beautiful campus. This picture here, you can see somebody in their studio space. So that's something that we offer to our fine arts students in particular. Starting their sophomore years, they have their own dedicated space where they get to cover the walls with their artwork. You might be able to see a little bit about what your peers are working on in those spaces, but mostly it's a dedicated space that you can always go to work on your work. And then we also have some really amazing events all over campus. We have many galleries. I think we have about 13 galleries on campus right now where our students display their artwork, where our faculty display their artwork. And we bring our faculty and our students and our community together in monthly art walks where the community is welcome to come on campus and see our students' artwork. So that's also an opportunity where I've known several people who have made some of their first art sales in those spaces to people in our community. So we're really have a lot of gratitude towards the community in Sarasota because they know us well. We've been around for almost 100 years in Sarasota, and so they know what to expect from us, and they definitely show up to support our students. Awesome. This picture is one that I really love because it shows our students working in our design center. So one of the great things we have on campus is we have an opportunity for our students to actually work on campus in design, and they help us design all of the materials that we take on the road, which I'm really grateful for because I have some of those beautiful materials compared to a lot of other colleges that I see out on the road. So that's also an opportunity that we give our students to get some real design experience and some professional work to put in their portfolios before they graduate. Awesome. And then I know a lot of you are definitely interested in animation. We are one of the top programs in animation every single year. The rookies just came out, I think maybe yesterday, and we're ranked #2 for animation in the US this year. And we, flip-flop around first and second year after year. So we're really proud of our animation programs. We have a lot of programs that deal with animation. So we have computer animation, which is our most competitive major and the thing that we're most well known for in the world around. So we have computer animation. We have game arts, which is another animation heavy major. We have motion design, which is a well-rounded animation major where you do more than just 3D animation and 2D animation. It's also going to be stop motion, also going to be cinematography with animation overlay, all of those things. So it's a little bit more well-rounded. And then our illustration program, we have 2 kind of pathways. One of them is illustration forward, where you're just really interested in creating a beautiful still image that is telling a story on its own. But we also have a pathway that we call visual development, but a lot of people know it as entertainment design. It means kind of the same thing to us. So visual development in our illustration is going to be all about designing characters and designing environments that are sort of intended for animation. And I can give you a little bit of a closer look at some of these things. I'm sure if you go and look at our YouTube and go look at some of our students' animations, I guarantee you've seen 1 or 2 of them before because they go viral on YouTube every year. So this is one cute recent one that's playing here. Our students work on 2D and 3D animation. My pitch towards 3D animation, because we do have a 3D animation focus, is always going to be that the industry is moving very much towards 3D right now. Even in cases where these big production companies are doing 2D projects, there are a lot of cases where they're actually rendering everything in 3D just to put it back into 2D because they get better effects that way. So that's one of the reasons that I really push our students to think about learning 3D animation and being very familiar with it, even if you are really passionate about 2D animation. Because it's going to give you also some transferable skills in the industry. Because 3D is useful in a lot of different parts of the industry. It's also going to be useful in game design if you end up saying, actually, I want to go into game art. So that is definitely an asset to you to be able to do that 3D rendering. They work in traditional and computer animation, but as I said, their focus is going to be that computer animation. They're learning visual development, which is what we talked about also as entertainment design. So designing all of those characters, all of the assets, all of the environments as well. One really incredible thing about our students is that they learn every single part of the animation process. So they are capable of doing every single little bit and piece of this. There are going to be a lot of programs out there that you look at where you're going to learn bits and pieces of it, but you're never going to create a full film on your own. Our students, their senior year, create a full film that is just their own, which means also that they're doing all of their own creative work behind it. And I think that's really unique because instead of reusing other people's characters and practicing, how does the rendering actually get tracked, you're actually also rendering your own character and you have control over the creative process behind that as well. You're going to be expected to finish your final film, which is something that is not going to be expected of you at every program. So we are a pretty rigorous program, but that means we set you up really well for the industry. I think one really cool fact about us is that last year, Pixar Animations hired 6 interns straight out of college that they were saying, okay, we're going to take these 6 interns and we're going to bring them into our animation program. And 5 of them were Ringling graduates. So we're very well known in the industry. We're very respected. And so we're definitely a first choice for a lot of those large production companies. Our students have won lots and lots of awards. As I said, their films go viral every year, so you're going to have some really impressive work for your portfolios as well. And as I said, you're going to have access to all of the top industry materials and computers and all those things while you're at Ringling. So you're going to know exactly what people are working with in the industry when you graduate. That's my overview on computer animation. I'll talk a little bit about the difference between that and our motion design major. So motion design is pretty incredible as well. I love their demo reels year after year. They have some really amazing professional work that gets done in our classrooms and with our professors that end up being used for advertisements and all sorts of things. So they're actually doing projects that are being used out in the world. They're not just doing these things for fun, if that makes sense. So they're going to be doing kind of every style of animation imaginable. So what I kind of think about with these 2 majors is it's a little bit of a personality test. So if you think you're the type of person who would really like to sit on one project for weeks at a time, sometimes even months, and you're going to be rendering every piece of a character, you're going to spend a lot of time, sometimes a little bit agonizing over what are these textures looking like? Am I rendering this correctly? How is this going to track? Is everything working in my animation? It's a little bit of a science experiment where you kind of do something, test out what happens, and then you have to go back and tweak things. Motion design is a little bit more quick moving. So these students are learning every style of animation. So they're also working on projects of all different sorts. So they're kind of moving pretty quickly. They have a lot of interests and they're eager to like learn quickly and then move on quickly to the next thing. So it's a little bit of a personality difference in that way. These students also get some pretty intensive information about sound design, because motion design generally is involving motion with audio. So you're also going to have access to some really amazing facilities for that post-production, for that sound design aspect as well. And then we'll talk about game art. Game art is a growing major for us and for a lot of places. So game art, again, we're one of the top programs in the United States every single year. These students are working on 2D design, 3D design, and then 3D modeling. These students are often really interested in that character design and that also spatial design, that environment design. So especially with game art, you're creating these really immersive environments that you actually want someone to be able to traverse through as you're playing the video game. So definitely if you have more of an eye towards that 3D animated interactive experience where you're also going to be learning about UI and UX, and you're going to be really concerned about the playability of your game, this could be something to look at for you. Our game art program is moving towards being a more technical kind of STEM-y STEAM degree. So it is an art degree. It's still a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but you're also going to be learning about the coding side of things. You're going to be doing all of that modeling. So it's going to be a little bit more technical than some of the other degrees. If you feel like, actually, I don't want to do any coding whatsoever, I don't care about the computer side of things, you might be more interested in illustration and having that focus on the visual development, where your concern is going to be the character design and the spatial design without the actual like modeling side of it, if that makes sense for you. One great thing about these students too is we have really small teams. So there are these big competitions where all of these colleges that have these game art programs are able to submit games and compete against one another. A lot of colleges have like 20-person teams working on one video game. So all of their students are doing kind of small bits and pieces of the video games. Our students are working in sometimes one person, but usually 1 to 5-ish teams or person teams. And we're really proud of them because they're doing so much to bring these games together, and they are competing and sometimes beating these teams of 20 plus people. So again, another example of the fact that Ringling is rigorous, but it is definitely going to prepare you for the industry in a really incredible way. And our students are very accomplished. We're very proud of them. And then to talk about the final major that has that animation connection would be illustration. Illustration is the largest major that we have on Ringling's campus, so the most number of students. One great thing about that is I think there's a lot more kind of built-in community into this major in terms of different interests. So if you have an interest in something as an illustrator, there's going to be another illustrator on campus who is excited to be doing similar projects as you, who wants to be talking about the same style of art as you. So that's one really great thing about that. These students are going to be doing both traditional styles, as you can see someone here practicing on plein air and going actually out to the beach, painting the beach. So you're going to be doing things like that. You're going to be taking figure drawing classes, and then you'll take a perspective drawing class your freshman year as well. But then you'll also have that opportunity to break into that. My goodness, my brain went away. Your digital, that's what I was going to say, your digital illustration as well. So you're going to have access to both of those things in illustration. As I mentioned earlier, it has a little bit of a split pathway. So you might go into the illustration focused illustration, which is really going to be, these beautiful bunny rabbits and this painting of the beach are examples of this, where you're creating these still images that are doing a lot of storytelling on their own as an image. And then these lovely characters up here, they're a pretty small picture up there, but you can see them. That's an example of the visual development pathway or entertainment design, where you are, I think my sound is, oh, okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. Anyways, you're doing the design of those characters. You're really concerned about, your shape language. You're concerned about the assets. You're concerned about the design elements that are actually telling that story for you. So those are kind of the two ways that can go. One thing I'll tell you too is that when our students start at Ringling, their first day, we give each of them either depending on their major, either a MacBook or a tablet that has all of the software you could possibly need to do all of these projects. So we want to make sure that our students start out with the same level of resources, which creates a really lovely transition to talking about our first year programs. So I actually don't know if I have a slide specifically about that, but I'll go to here. So Our freshman year program is a little bit different than what you might see at some other art institutions. So we want to make sure that you are placed in studio art classes from the very beginning. We take the freshman and sophomore years as an opportunity to make sure that we are building your fundamental art skills and bringing students up to a shared level of knowledge about those fundamental art skills. So we're going to make sure that you are actually placed in studio classes right away, rather than, taking that time to kind of discuss these things without actually being in the studio themselves. So you're going to be doing art that is relevant also to your major. So we separate those first year courses out into groups that are based around your major and what your skills are that we want to develop towards your major. You're also going to be taking classes in your major your freshman year. So if you're a computer animation major, you're going to be modeling characters and learning how to do, for example, maybe a physics animation where you're creating an animation of a ball bouncing across a space or a walk cycle. You're going to be doing those things right away and then start jumping into 3D animation as well that first year. We also have some really amazing liberal arts programming, so you're going to have a well-rounded education. We're interested in making sure that you have that conceptual and critical thinking to back up your artistic thinking and also to help inspire your creative thinking. So those things are very important to us as well. We also have some really amazing resources for our students on campus. So we obviously have a very robust career services on campus, which means that you're going to have access to one-on-one career counseling. You're going to be able to do portfolio reviews. So I'm the person right now to do a portfolio review with you. If you are starting to get ready to apply for college, I can look at your artwork and tell you what you need to do to get your portfolio ready for a college admissions portfolio. But you're going to have access to that as well while you're in college from our career services team to create your professional portfolio. What does your portfolio need to look like to actually break into the industry? We're also going to work on those basic things with you, working on writing your resume, looking for jobs, talking with recruiters, how to present yourself well, how to talk about your art, how to also read a contract if you're going to be working in an industry that involves a lot of contract work. So we're going to prepare you for those things. We also have a lifelong commitment to you. So we are going to be a resource to you after you graduate for the rest of your life. You are always going to be able to come back to Ringling's Career Services and say, what do you have for me right now? Here are what my skill sets are. Here's the kind of work I want to do. What do you have for me? So that's something that we promise to you, is that you're always going to be able to come back and have access to our extensive alumni network. So these are some of the beautiful places where our students currently work, or not our students, our graduates. So we have a lot of those connections. One thing that I think is really interesting is there's a lot of examples of Ringling students going and starting, for example, like small indie game companies. So those are places where we have a very established network. And then also we have some really amazing people working on the most famous projects you've heard of right now. So if you saw K-pop Demon Hunters this year, the lead animator of that film was a Ringling graduate. And there were, I think, 15 other Ringling graduates who worked on that film as well. So for me, when I watch that film, I'm like, this is just a Ringling film. Like, it feels very much like what our students are working on and what they're passionate about. So we're really proud to see them go out and really just rock it in the industry. So trying to think of where else I can take you. I don't think I showed you this page, but I'll stop here briefly. So this is 50, I think we're closer to 60 acres now of campus. This whole kind of beautiful scene you see here is pretty much all owned by Ringling. So we have some really nice campus that is compact. You know, you can walk from one end of campus to the other in about 10 or 15 minutes, but it's also pretty large for the number of students that we have. We only have about 1,700 students. So you're going to have a lot of space to kind of wander, explore, have all of your student life experiences. We have about a 70% residential student body. So that means housing is guaranteed to you your freshman year. You're going to be able to live in our housing on campus. And then a lot of students end up choosing to live with us on campus for 2, 3, even 4 years sometimes. So about 70% of our students are living on campus at any given time. We have some really beautiful campus facilities. We have a newly updated campus cafeteria called Conniff Commons that has, I'm amazed by it. We did not have that kind of nice college food where I went to college, but you have lots of different options every day and also everything for your dietary needs. And you also have access to bistro dining around campus all hours of the day. So if you are grinding away at whatever painting or project, you're going to be able to walk over and get some food whenever you need it. But also sleep is important. Go to sleep. So campus is really lovely. And then we also have a great fitness center. We have a health center on campus too. So if you're sick, you don't have to stray that far. You can just walk right over and there's somebody to take care of you. And then this is also just a bonus. I think it's really cool that we have a full render farm on campus. So you know exactly where all of your animations are being rendered and you never have to fight for that data space to get everything taken care of. And then this is also a lovely bonus picture. We have some of the best beaches in the world. I know you all are used to living near the beach, but you don't have to give that up. So we're pretty grateful to live in such a beautiful place. This picture here is like probably a 10-minute drive away from our campus. So it's very accessible. I'm the type of person who sometimes I just need to walk over and like stare at the water. And so I can do that on Ringling's campus, which is really wonderful. We also live very close to some really great cities. We live very close to Miami, very close to Tampa as well, which if you're interested or into just like the thrift scene, or there's a great music scene as well in Tampa and St. Petersburg. You're going to have access to those things. We're also very close to Orlando. So if you're a big fan of the theme parks, we have proximity to Disney and to Universal. Also a really big asset to us because those are places where our students want to work and where our graduates work. So we have really great access to the industry in that way as well. I can talk a little bit about applying, but I won't go into too much because I know we have a little bit of a mix of the younger and older students, but just to give you a little bit of an overview of what it looks like. We accept applications on a rolling basis for most of our majors. The only major where we have like a set hard deadline is computer animation because it's a lot more competitive for us and we need more time to read through all of those applications. So our computer animation deadline is January 15th. We do also have an early action deadline that's in November. So we just had our first deadline on November 1st for computer animation, and those students are eligible for a small additional scholarship for getting in that early application deadline, but they also just receive their acceptance letters and their some students, instead of being directly accepted to computer animation, we offer them a deny other major. So we say we can't give you a spot in computer animation, but we'd love to have you at Ringling. Would you like to choose game art or motion design or illustration? We offer them those spaces in another program. So applying with that early group gives you that information a little bit sooner and also gives you that financial information a little bit sooner because we'll send you information about your merit scholarship offer at that time as well. But yes, January 15th is the really important one for computer animation, your senior year. And then Everything else we are kind of accepting on a rolling deadline, so you can have a little bit more time. That said, I would say applying before February 15th is ideal because then you're going to get considered automatically for all of our scholarships. If you apply after that, you won't be eligible for everything. So I definitely push that February 15th date as what should be your kind of hard deadline regardless of your major. The things that we look for, you're going to submit your common application, which is what you're going to submit to most colleges anyways. You'll write us a short essay that is pretty open, but the main concern for us is going to be your portfolio. So we'll get your high school transcripts. As long as you have a 2.0 GPA or higher, we're able to consider you for admission. But the most important thing to us is your portfolio. So I have some really amazing pictures. We compile these every year from real student submissions. So that is one way that you can kind of see what students are working on. But we accept a pretty wide range of work. For illustration and for computer animation specifically, our priority is that we can see that you are drawing from observation. So that is going to be figure drawing. That's going to be sketches of animal anatomy. As you can see here, a lot of people will kind of go to the zoo and sketch the animals they see. That's one way that you can have kind of a fun day to practice some of that drawing from observation. We also look for drawings of interiors. So I'm wondering, here's an interior with kind of a mystical element, this shark in the middle of the room. That's probably not drawing from observation, but oh, here's a great one. So these are some really beautiful drawings that some students have submitted to us. In particular, we like ones where you can see the corner of the room, where we're going to see those really nice lines and that really nice perspective. So that's coming across here too. We're going to be really paying attention to those fundamental skills. Another fundamental skill that we're really looking for is that students have a good grasp of light and color and their values, and especially attention towards your light sources. So knowing your light source is going to allow you to have these really beautiful lights and darks. Pushing these textures as well is a huge asset to your portfolio. So those are some examples of what that drawing from observation might look like. And then, of course, figure drawing is going to be pretty important. Sketches of hands and feet can be really useful as well. One of the things we look out for is sometimes students submit like a really lovely portfolio, but in all of their drawings, their characters have their hands behind their heads. And we go, where are your hands? So that's something that you can kind of get ahead of by including, even if it's a sketchbook page of hands and feet, we love to see pictures of sketchbooks. That's one great way to tackle your portfolio, is to just have a sketchbook with you and bring it with you everywhere. And then you're going to have a lot of work to choose from when you're putting that portfolio together. The other portion of your portfolio, and again, this is specifically illustration and computer animation, have that emphasis towards drawing from observation. So that's about 60% of your portfolio is things that qualify as drawing from observation. The other 40% is going to be work that is more about your creative vision. So again, this lovely drawing down here, that is probably not very realistic, of this fish, this shark and this turtle swimming through this person's bedroom. That's a really beautiful, creative, personal piece. This piece as well, probably more of a piece from a fine arts or an illustration portfolio, because there are story elements in it, but it is definitely just capturing a moment. So also, though, you might look for work that is going to show your visual development side as well, your entertainment design. So that's going to be pieces like you see here. So some of these things are really clearly character design. We've got some really nice turnarounds of these fish characters, where you can see the front, side view, back view of these fish. And then also these are some pretty cute pig characters, some interesting jazz musicians here. All of these are showing a lot of attention towards story development coming through these small design choices. So that's really something that we're looking for. We're looking at your shape language and how you're telling the story through the way that you're creating these characters. Something that I really love to see as well, I have a little bit of a pet peeve where sometimes I see a lot of work that just is in the void. And so, an example of that, this gentleman, he's in the void. There's nothing around him. So I also like to look for work that is showing original characters or objects that are in a more fully rendered environment. So something like this down here, you see they've got these sweet bird and frog characters, but they're actually drawing them in a space where they're interacting. They're showing a little bit of a combination here of their fundamental skills with perspective and their light sources while combining it with their visual development, their character design, and they're putting those elements together. So that is a really strong piece for a portfolio. This piece also is doing some really beautiful environmental design. There's no characters in it, but it's a design that is telling a lot about what sort of stories this person might be interested in telling. So we really have an eye towards what is this person telling me about what sorts of stories they want to tell. We also accept things like if you have storyboarding, we are happy to look at those sorts of things. Anything that is showing a little bit of that development towards a fully fleshed story as well. These are some great examples too of some exterior drawings. So these are your interiors, but we also might look for an exterior because that's going to show some compositional style. We'd like to see, a nice foreground, midground, background in something like that, where you can see that it is a space that you can move around and it has perspective, it has volume to it. So those are some examples of those. I really like the urban ones as well. If you want to take a picture of a city street and then show that really nice perspective down that street, that is another way to tackle that, sort of showing that fundamental skill. And then these are some pieces that are showing a little bit more of what you might see in a fine arts.
Doing that in classroom.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Okay. If you guys want to take things, I have, please take them so I don't have to fly with them this evening. Sorry, for those of you on Zoom, we're having a quick transition in the room, as some students are moving over to another classroom, so that's why I'm pausing. Awesome. Okay. These things are just showing some projects that you might see more in a fine arts portfolio. So it's a little bit more wiggle room in terms of what different mediums you're working in. You've got some sculpture, you've got some printmaking, even some ceramics work. All of those sorts of things can be really amazing things for your portfolio as well. Yes, we also, we didn't talk about it so much today because I know that a lot of you students have an interest in animation, but I will mention that we also have a lot of other really wonderful majors. So business of art and design, also a really popular minor for students who want to take that sort of business major, but with a very specific focus on the art and design industry. So that is a really amazing major. These students have really high rates of being hired right out of graduation. So we're really proud of our program for that because they're very popular because they know exactly what it's like to work as an artist as well as having that business background. So that has a lot of transferability for different roles. Creative writing, also really incredible. We have a focus towards like creating some really incredible commercial prose. So if you have a specific interest in writing fantasy or writing science fiction or writing romance or writing scripts, if you have a specific genre that you're really excited about working in, there's a great chance that we have classes that are dedicated specifically to that genre. We also have a really amazing certificate that we're offering that is a author illustrator certificate. So that's for students who are specifically interested in writing graphic novels or comic books or children's literature. And taking that certificate is an opportunity to actually graduate with a full graphic novel or children's book of your own. So that's a way that if you have that interest in that written storytelling as well, you can kind of combine those things. We have a major called entertainment design, but it's a little bit different than what a lot of people refer to as entertainment design. For us, entertainment design is actually all about immersive entertainment experiences. So, for example, this is what the Disney Imagineers do when they're actually designing the spaces that are these really incredible immersive rooms that people walk into. They're often very interactive experiences. This is also what you see at Meow Wolf, if you've ever heard of that. It's a really incredible immersive museum that I think there's 3 locations now in Santa Fe, Las Vegas, and Denver. But that's definitely something to look up if you're interested in this sort of design. This is actually like essentially an interior design major specifically with an attention towards themed entertainment. So if that interests you and you want to hear more about it, I would be more than happy to have more conversations with you in the future. We have a really, really amazing film program as well. We have full sound stages and post-production facilities on campus, so they're working in full-scale industry spaces. So that's one again, amazing program as well. If you're interested in film, that I'd love to talk to you all as individuals if you're interested in that at all. Fine arts is very well rounded, so it is going to be painting, sculpting, printmaking. I mentioned we have glass blowing classes. We have students who are welding, who are doing metalworking. We have students doing book art. Photography classes as well is housed in fine arts. So that major, I think, is for students who have like this really broad artistic interest in doing lots of different mediums. So, and then graphic design, really incredible. I mentioned our design hub earlier today, and they work very closely with that design studio to give students those opportunities to create some really beautiful designs and have some amazing professional work in their portfolios. We talked about, and then we have virtual reality development, which works pretty closely also with our game art students. And then visual studies is kind of a build your own major. So if you are like, I actually really want to work on toy design, or maybe you want to work on something that is more closely related to fashion, this is a little bit of like, you can grab from the bag of all of our different minors to put together a major and choose a project that is most tailored and interesting to you. And then I actually don't have a slide about this because it's so new, but we're offering a new major that is called Creative Technologies. Our first class is going to start next year, and Creative Technologies is related to entrepreneurship in art. So it definitely has a connection to students who are interested in working in AI with art. And other entrepreneurial opportunities for students to kind of design and launch a project that's really interesting to them. Okay, that might be my overview. I know we're if
All right.
yeah, Rain, do you?
That's so wonderful. I've got a few of questions from my side. Yeah, you want to take a break to have some water? Oh yeah, by the way, I've been an intern in St. Petersburg, the Dali Museum before, like when I was student age. I love that place. Yeah, so that's a It's
Oh, wow.
nice. Yeah, it's a very nice chance to study in, Florida. Yeah, all right. So
Yes.
the first question from Cheyenne, can you still join the game art major even if you have no coding experience?
Yes, that's a great question. We generally with our majors, we are pretty open to the fact that students have really different access to different resources before they're applying. So we are concerned about seeing some of your fundamental art skills and some of your creativity, because we know that as long as you have ideas about what you want to create about, we're capable of bringing any students up to having those skills. That's our job. So a good example of that also is with computer animation. A lot of students come to me and they say, I've never animated anything before. Like, how am I possibly going to apply for this major? We actually don't really care. We don't necessarily even want to see a lot of animation work in those portfolios. We would rather see your drawing from observation. And then if you do have some animation, we might ask you to put it into a demo reel so that you're not using up so much of your portfolio with those projects that might not be as relevant to our faculty who review those portfolios. So the same thing is pretty true with game art. We want you to have that interest in doing that coding side of things, because that will be an important part of what you do. But we're also open to the fact that students have different levels of skill coming in. So we don't currently ask for any examples of code for those portfolios. There's been some discussion about that being a possibility in the future, but right now we're just looking for your visual development, your entertainment design towards video game art specifically.
So you say it's you care more about the potential or the interest at the very beginning in their portfolio, right? All right.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. There's a next question. Actually, I got two questions similar. Which is in terms of class schedule, it sounds like the students need to determine their majors at the first year of study in Ringling. Is that true, or they can decide later?
So we generally ask students to have a major in mind when they're applying. Partly that's because we want you to be able to design your portfolio in a way that shows us your skills towards a major specifically. However, our students at Ringling definitely move around majors their first year. We're able to allow those internal transfers. The only exception to that is we can't allow students to transfer into computer animation once they've already started at Ringling. So if computer animation is the major you definitely want, or you want to try your hat at that before seeing if you can make it into that major before you choose another major, that's the one you want to apply for first to try to get into that major. And then the computer animation students are able to transfer out of computer animation if they start that program and they're like, this actually is not what I want. But we can't allow students to transfer into computer animation. But yeah, generally we like for our students to have an idea or to declare something, even if they feel like they might end up switching it their first year.
All right. Thanks. Then next question. This might be answered, but is there a portfolio requirement to enter the college?
Yes, so we do require portfolios. The only major that we don't require a portfolio for is our business of art and design. And part of the reason for that is that we offer bachelor's of fine arts degrees. So in accordance with our accreditation, we do need to accept and see those portfolios before we're able to accept students. But Business of Art and Design is a Bachelor of the Arts instead of Bachelor of Fine Arts, so we don't need to see a portfolio to accept students into that program.
Writing too, right? The creative writing.
Creative writing is also a Bachelor of Fine Arts, so we do actually need to see a portfolio for that major as well. And if anyone wants more details about what that portfolio looks like, same thing with film. If anyone wants to know about what a film portfolio might look like, I'm happy to have that conversation with you in the future on Zoom as individuals.
Mhm. All right, thanks. Next question is like specifically connected to computer animation. If a student are interested in this major, what kind of portfolio package should they submit to apply?
What kind of portfolio work should they have for their computer animation? Is that what you're asking? Okay, that was kind of what we talked about in terms of needing to see a lot of observational drawing for that major. Again, that's because we really have an emphasis on your fundamental skills. We want to see that you have this really strong foundation so that we can jump immediately into that 3D animation side of things. So we'll give you some of that support to help make sure that all of our students are at the same level. But generally, especially for computer animation, we want to make sure those skills are really strong to begin with. So like I said, about 60% of your portfolio will be drawing from observation, such as an interior room for perspective, an exterior. You might do some figure drawing, hands and feet, drawings of animals, that sort of thing. Oh, and then still lifes as well, something like this. Rain, one moment, I have someone in the classroom who wants to ask a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Wondering if for observational drawing, does it have to be drawing from like objects from life, or can it be like a photo?
Good question. Rain, could you hear that or should I repeat it? You could
can.
hear it. Okay. That's a really good question. So I would say anytime you can use a real life reference, that's better, because you're going to get a better sense of that depth. You're going to be able to also like either choose your light direction or have a really solid, clear understanding of where your light is coming from. So that's part of why we really encourage if you can draw from life directly, that's wonderful. But of course, we recognize, especially with figure drawing, for example, a lot of figure drawing opportunities are people who are in the nude, which if you're not 18 yet, you might not be able to get into those rooms to draw those people. So one of the things that we recommend is using something like, there's a website called Line of Action that has some really great reference photos of models for figure drawing, and then also has some great examples of references for still lifes, for animals, all of those things. So if you need a good, great website with examples of those references, but anytime you can draw from real life, it's better.
All right, next question from my side. Are we allowed to submit artworks from a high school art pathway for the portfolio?
Yeah, definitely. So certainly anything you create for an art portfolio for your AP art, or for any arts class in high school is definitely a viable project to use for your college portfolio. I think one thing to be mindful of is that it is a slightly different project. Putting together an AP art portfolio often has an emphasis on theme and not necessarily, it's not necessarily going to hit all of those things that we're asking to see. So I would say just be mindful of choosing the things that are going to do the best work for your portfolio, while also being open to the fact that you might need to do some additional projects or some additional sketching to add to your portfolio as well. It probably won't be an exact transfer over, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you. So next question from my side, like when students participate in some art contests like Scholastic, how much help could that be for the application?
In terms of like having something to brag about in your application or something to use as pieces for your portfolio?
I think probably both.
Okay.
Resume,
Any, go ahead.
I mean for the resume or yeah, also for the portfolio. Yeah.
Okay. I would say anything that you have that you can tell us in that common application of things that you're doing outside of school is going to strengthen your or not your portfolio, but it's going to strengthen your application. It's going to show us you're more dedicated to your work, that you have that rigor as well, because as I've mentioned, we're a pretty rigorous institution. So anything like that is definitely going to add to your portfolio, and we want to hear about it. But we also want to hear about it if you are just helping take care of people at home, or if you are babysitting, or if you're working a job outside of school, or if you're in the school play. All of those things are going to help us see that you're a more well-rounded student, that you're going to be involved on campus, and that you're going to be dedicated to your work on campus.
So it's like extracurricular activities, including some like art contest, awards, all gonna help, right?
Yes, definitely. Um, we definitely, I will say, like, really care mostly about your portfolio. So, um, whatever you can do to make your portfolio stronger, the better. But it definitely doesn't hurt to have those extra things on the side as well.
All right. Okay, so next question. What's the admission rates for computer animation major?
The admission rate for computer animation this past year, I think, was about 17%. So that's part of why we do so much portfolio development with students, is we know that's can be difficult to make it into that group. But then again, I want to emphasize that all of our majors are really incredible, and that's part of why we offer our students that opportunity to choose another major if we're not able to give them a spot in computer animation, because you can still do some really incredible entertainment design work, and any major at Ringling is going to be a really amazing major at Ringling. And also, I will say, like, I think there's a tendency to feel like computer animation, that it has to be that or nothing. But I want you all to think really carefully about what major actually sounds the most exciting to you and what is going to actually serve you the best, rather than, just doing something that feels the most difficult for you. I want you to do what is the best for you.
All right, so next question is about the specific number of works included in the portfolio. So that's actually from two of our audience, and one is just asked for a general number, then the other is like specifically connected to computer animation major again.
Yeah, great question. So we have it can be a little different depending on some of the majors, but usually it's about 10 to 25. And I believe that's what it is for computer animation this year. But that's also includes, that's like slides in your slide room. You have 10 to 25. So you can put together collages of things. So if you have a lot of figure drawing, or some gesture drawings, and you want to collage some of those things together so that you're not taking up all of your space in your portfolio, with individual pictures, you can do that for sure, to save yourself some space. And then again, as I mentioned with the, if you have any animation work, putting that together into a demo reel is the best way to include that stuff.
All right. So next question is actually from me. So I'm so curious about like cross-disciplinary things, but like in your school, like when there are so many great majors, great programs, and how can that work? Like when students are graduate from the school, but they can fit different fields in the art world or in the industry. So say some students in the animation major could fit another industry, probably. Can you explain that?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of our students are taking a major and a minor, or a couple minors on campus. So that's one way that we encourage that interdisciplinary learning, is that you have these spaces. I can show a curriculum map if that's useful. I might pull up one of those while we're talking, because students definitely have some space to do a little bit of a mix of classes that are in their major and classes that are outside of their major. Hang on, let me find a curriculum map for you. I feel like that's the easiest way to look at it. We'll look at the illustration. Oops.
Yeah, so students and parents, if you're on site, if you have any question, you can just raise your hand and speak up. Yeah, and then if you're
Okay.
students, just type in the chat box, please. Thank you.
All right, let me share my curriculum map real quick. So this is an example of a curriculum map for a student at Ringling who's taking illustration. So as you can see, we kind of split it into, this is your first year as these first two columns, and then your second year, third year, fourth year. And then we have your first year courses are going to be what I talked about of getting you into your studio classes right away that are specifically about those fundamental skills, but allowing you to be in those studio courses. So some of those are your 2D design, 3D design, but for your perspective drawing, figure drawing. And then you'll also have a lot of these classes are in your major. So the dark blue is all classes that are specifically for that illustration major. Same thing with these light blue. And then the purple, and this looks a little different depending on which major, but your purple is your liberal arts. Those are your classes that are doing some different interdisciplinary emphasis. I showed you a list of those majors and those minors. So, you know, some students are taking environmental science in those classes. Some students are taking the feminist and gender study classes. Some students are taking art history if that is their passion. So a lot of different ways to use that space. And then your open electives, I think, are pretty exciting because that's some space where you can take that glass blowing class, even if you're an illustration major, where you just have like a passion to do some sculpture. You're going to have some time to do that as well. So that's one thing you can look at. If you go to, I don't know if this is gonna, can you still see? Okay, perfect. If you go to our website and go to academics, and then you click on one of our majors, you can look at that curriculum map. So for example, fine arts, you can go over to curriculum and then click the curriculum map. So if you have a specific major that you're interested in looking at what those specific classes and what that pathway will look like for you, I would recommend looking at that to see a little bit more in depth about what kind of time you'll have to do some different work.
All right, Margaret, as you have that website open, can you show us like how to find the requirements for the portfolio, maybe for each major or something?
Definitely. So here's Ringling. Lovely. If you go over to admissions and then to apply, that's kind of our homepage, but then you can specifically go to portfolio prep. And then you can go down to see each major has some specific guidelines. A lot of them are kind of grouped together a little bit. So we were talking about computer animation and illustration having similar needs. Those things are grouped together. But then all of these are grouped together as well. So you can go and see what some different things looked like. And then again, as I've mentioned a couple times, I offer one-on-one portfolio reviews. So if you go here and you click on schedule a portfolio review and fill out all of that information, and I'll actually send you all this link. This will come directly to me, and then I can schedule a portfolio review with each of you who is interested. Especially if you're in your junior or senior year is probably when that becomes more relevant to you.
All right, thank you for sharing. Hope everyone can see the link in the chat box. We have another question. What is the acceptance rate for game design?
For our other majors, I don't know all the specific numbers. Computer animation is one we kind of keep on the memory because that's a very common question and because it is that more competitive major. But for game art specifically, I'm honestly, I'm not sure. I think it's somewhere in the like 50 to 60% range generally. Yes, go ahead.
Then what's the overall expense?
Again, I think it's around 60%. Yeah, factoring in that computer animation thing as well.
All right, I got a question here. Is there any opportunity for the student to get some experience on computer animation?
Before they apply,
No,
um,
does it help?
there's a,
Yes.
yeah, there's a couple, so again, like in terms of your portfolio, we don't necessarily need to see any animation. One really amazing thing that I'll mention, since you bring up just opportunities before college at Ringling, would be to look into our teen summer programs. So we offer 4 different options. We have pre-college, pre-college discovery, teen studios, and then esports camp. Pretty awesome. The main 2 that I would say your students, you all will look at as students who live as far away from Florida as you do, would be pre-college and pre-college discovery. Because Teen Studios is generally just for students who are living nearby, who can commute in. Pre-college is a month-long program during the summer, as long as you are 16 to 18 years old. So generally, between your sophomore and junior year summer, or junior and senior year summers, is when students are most commonly coming to these programs. The pre-college we offer lots of different programs with specific deep dives. So there's, for film, for example, there's a production focus, and then there's a directing focus. And then lots of different visual development ones. These students also, there's an opportunity to do that computer animation and do that computer modeling. And then pre-college discovery, these are week-long residential programs. And so they also have just a wide swath of classes that are available to those. And again, I can send some more details. Let me send the link to pre-college. Hello. Because then you can go and look at what all of the different options are. I will say that if you're interested in pre-college for this coming summer, the applications for that are open and it fills pretty quickly. So I would definitely look into that sooner rather than later, if you're interested in coming to do that program with us. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, I have another
Oh, so
question.
just wanted to send the link, but thank you. Go ahead.
So do portfolio reviews happen throughout the year?
Yep. So portfolio reviews are available whenever you all are ready. Again, I would say maybe the second half of your junior year would be a good time if you want to do an earlier portfolio review, or the summer before your senior year would be a really great time to do a first portfolio review. I do as many as a student wants, so we can do an initial one, and then I can give you, like, these are the specific things that you need to be developing, and these are the things that you need to be adding to your portfolio, so that if you want to submit a computer animation portfolio before that November 1st date, you can be a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of getting that feedback before it's time to submit. But over the summer, I'm around, which is a great time for you all since you're not in regular school during that time. So we have a lot more wiggle room in terms of being on some pretty different time zones to make those meetings happen. So definitely, whenever you're ready to reach out.
All right, next question. Do you use Adobe apps, Siemens, just for general for digital art?
Yeah, we do. That's one of the softwares that we will provide to you. The whole time you're at Ringling, you'll have access to Adobe Illustrator, and the whole Creative Cloud, and create like all of those Adobe Creative softwares. I will say, like, I've had the question before of like, what's the most common drawing software that students at Ringling like to use? And the kind of like silly answer is that, like, it's kind of the tech or the sketchbook. So I definitely recommend developing your traditional sketch skills as much as you can, even if you do have that passion for digital art, because that's the way that you're going to start putting all of those pieces together. And that's something that's really important to us to see in your portfolio. If we have a portfolio that's all traditional artwork, that's going to be totally fine with us. But if it's all digital artwork, we're going to end up needing to ask you to send us work that is in traditional mediums. So it's good to know that you need to have that mixture.
Good point. Thank you. So the last question is actually from me because as a teacher, we prepare students for the portfolio or like school application. So I know Ringling looks at storytelling, also technical skills in portfolio. So what is the like the proportion or like different majors, there are different proportions or emphases?
Yeah, so I would say regardless of what you're applying for, we want to see some work that is doing a little bit of that creative exploration. So that could come in a lot of different forms. That might be like specifically visual development, that's your character sketches, things like that. But it could also just be personal pieces that you've made for an AP art portfolio that are telling the story of your family. So anything that is doing that creative work as well, and just telling us it doesn't necessarily need to be fictional stories, I guess is my emphasis on that. But it sort of goes with that breakdown that I mentioned earlier of needing about 60% of your portfolio to be really focused on those fundamental art skills, and then the other 40% to be more of your personal passions, your personal artwork, and your visual development skills. And then you mentioned that with other majors, that's a little bit different. And that's totally true. I think with computer animation and illustration, we're very specific about those things, but with our other majors, we kind of want to just see work that's in the major that you're interested in. So, for example, fine arts, we want to see a mixture of mediums. We want to see some painting, some drawing, maybe some sculpture. Students will send in like textile work, that kind of thing. And having that range, and having that emphasis towards making work that is has an emphasis towards meaning making, towards that cultural change is more important in fine arts than your observational drawing. So that's why I definitely encourage going to the website as I showed earlier and looking specifically at the major you're most interested in to see like how much do I really need to worry about my sketchbook and how much do I need to be working on projects that are saying this is a graphic design project. So that's kind of what I would encourage is depending on your major, you need to look a little bit, do a little bit of research about how to tailor that.
All right, I think that's very inspiring. So I got a last question from the Q&A box. I didn't saw it before. So it's said, what's the average GPA for people to get into Ringling?
Yeah, great question. We honestly don't really track an average GPA because like I said, it's not like one of our main priorities. We just need a minimum GPA of a 2.0. So as long as you have that 2.0, you are eligible. I believe you need to have a 3.0 GPA to be considered for our presidential scholarship. So if you have that higher GPA, you're going to be considered for more of those automatic scholarships. But in order to be admissible, you just need to have that 2.0.
I see. Okay. I think that's very helpful. So I got no more question left here. So anyone on the site. So if you guys have more questions, that's your last chance. No more. All right. So or Margot, anything to add?
No, thank you so much for hosting me. I really, really appreciate it. And again, you all have access to my email. If anybody needs more information, I'm sure that you can reach out to your teachers and they'll direct you to me. So I would be really, really happy to work with any of you who have more questions or want a portfolio review, anything like that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for giving us so insightful presentation. Chance to look into, Ringling School, such a beautiful school, and such beautiful programs. And I think that's a dreaming school for all of us. Yeah. So for everyone tonight, I hope you walk out, with clarity, inspiration, and a deeper sense with the school. And I hope this means something for you to, participate in our webinar. Also, just a little heads up, tomorrow and Thursday, we have another 2 top schools that will come to Call Color that will be also online sessions. Yeah, if you guys are interested, feel free to sign up for the other extra sections there. And so one more time, this is our social media. So if you guys so if you follow our social media, you won't miss any events in the future. We will try to promote and also like try to post any of our future artistic activities or events there. Just scan the QR code to follow us. All right, so this is the end of today's seminar. Thank you everyone so much for coming. Thank you, Margot, for joining us. All right, so we'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Good night.